All right, we're now going to go through example 1 here. Now we're going to use our finance solver. So let's bring that up on our CADs. We go menu, we go 8 for finance, and then 1 for finance solver, and then we've got it open here. Okay, it says Adam borrows $1,000 at a 12% per annum compounding monthly and makes a repayment of $200 each month. Find the amount Adam owes after 3 months. All right, before we jump into this question, can we just look at this table before us? Look at it. What is this table? This table here represents what we see on our finance solver. So if I just come over here, I might actually put a cursor, a little circle around my mouse here. So this right here is what we see in this table. So if you take note, see how we've got an N here and an N there. Then an interest for interest rate, then an I for interest rate. Then PV is my present value, PMT, PMT. Future value, PPY, PPY. And then if we keep going down here, you'll see CPY. Now, will you see these sort of tables in your SAC? And the answer is historically, yes. We do like putting these tables in your SAC. Doesn't mean that we'll do it this year, but we usually like putting these tables in your SAC. So it's important that you know how to use these tables. And of course, we'll be going through it in this example here. The other question is, would you see these tables in your exam? And the answer to that is no, you're not going to see these tables in your exam. But it's a really great way as we're learning to kind of write down explicitly what we're putting into our finance solver, which is very, very important. Because let's look at what we're going to put into our finance solver, because some of this has been pre-filled for us. Okay, find the amount Adam owes in 3 months. So Adam is borrowing $1,000 at 12% per annum compounding monthly and makes repayments of $200 each month. First things first, can you take note, this will always happen, that the interest is being compounded monthly and your payments are being made monthly. That's always going to be the case. It's always going to be the same for your interest and repayments. If it's monthly, then the other one will be monthly. If it's weekly, then the other one will be weekly. So when it says find the amount Adam owes after 3 months, we're talking about after 3 payments. So into our end spot, we put a 3. So let's come to our finance solver over here, and let's do that. So I'm going to put a 3 there. So I'll put a 3 there, like there. Next, my interest is 12. And that's because we've got a 12 there. So I come to my interest, and I put a 12 there. My PV is my present value of the loan. The present value of the loan is the $1,000 that I borrow. Now, this is where it becomes ever so important that you listen to me. Are you listening? Hopefully you're listening. I put 1,000 here, and the 1,000 is positive. This is mentioned up here. If we come back to our notes here, do you see how it says, when we are dealing with a reducing balance loan, PV, the current amount owing on the loan is always positive. Can we talk about why that's the case for a moment? It's because Adam is going to the bank, and the bank is borrowing him $1,000. They're giving him $1,000. He's putting $1,000 into his pocket. It's his. That's why it's positive. I always like to think about whether something is positive or negative when it comes to the finance solver, is whether or not it's going into your pocket or if it's coming out of your pocket. If it's going into your pocket, it is positive. If it's coming out of your pocket, it is negative. So because it's a loan, they're giving you this $1,000. It's positive. It goes into your pocket. That's why it's positive. Hopefully I've made a big enough a deal about that, because that's normally where people make a mistake. The next is my PMT. Would you look at that? My PMT is negative. It's negative 200, and that's because I'm making repayments of $200 each month. Okay? Now, why is it negative? Because Adam is giving this money to the bank. He's giving it to the bank. It's coming out of his pocket and it's going to the bank. So that's why we make this negative. It's going to be negative 200 because it's coming out of Adam's pocket. What's the future value going to be? Now, read the question carefully. It says, find the amount Adam owes after 3 months. We don't know what the future value is. That's why we'll put a question mark there. This is what we're trying to figure out. We do not know it. My PPY and CPY relate to how often it's compounding and how often you're making the repayments. Now, remember what I said at the beginning. How often interest is computed and how often you make payments are always going to be the same, which means that your CPY and your PPY and your CPY will always be the same. So if I type in 12 here, then if I hit tab, it actually changes it automatically to it. Then I hit tab again. I recommend the tab button here. I love the tab button. It's great. Okay, we're trying to find my future value. That's the thing we have left blank here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate around, so tab, 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 and I'm going to put put it so my cursor is on FV, what I'm trying to solve, and then I hit enter, bang. And this now is going to give me my answer. Now, it's really important that when you're doing these things, you write it unrounded first. So I always like to write it unrounded first, negative 424.281. The reason why I do it unrounded is just in case I make a mistake when rounding in a second or exam, I'm not going to be penalized multiple times. I can just get 1 mark off for a rounding error if I am making consistent rounding mistakes. But the only way you can get that rounding off mark is if you're showing the unrounded first and then you round. So what is the future value? How much is owing after 3 months? It is going to be $424.28. So that is how that first part works there. Whew. All right, hopefully that made sense.